In the still waters of Aden harbor, on an October morning in 2000, a sleek grey silhouette rode quietly at anchor. It was the USS Cole, a modern American guided missile destroyer. Strong, fast and precise, a floating symbol of US power and technology. What happened next would scar the ship, the Navy and the nation. A small boat approached her port side. In seconds, the calm was shattered by fire and thunder. The explosion tore a hole 40 feet wide in the hull, killing 17 sailors and injuring dozens more. It was not a battle, not a war at sea, but an act of terrorism, a strike that revealed a new kind of threat. To understand why the attack on Cole shook the world, we must first understand the vessel herself, what she was built to be, and the era that produced her. The early 1990s were a time of transition. The Cold War had ended. The Soviet Union was gone. The United States stood as the world's sole superpower, its navy unmatched in size and reach. Yet peace brought new challenges. Regional conflicts, rogue states, and emerging terrorist networks were taking shape in the shadows. Instead of preparing for massive fleet battles, the Navy now needed ships that could operate globally, versatile, self-defending, and capable of striking swiftly from a distance. Out of this new doctrine came the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, named after Admiral Arleigh Burke, the World War II hero who personified speed and decisiveness. These ships would embody the lessons of the past and the demands of the future. The USS Cole, DDG-67, was laid down at Ingalls Shipbuilding in Pascagoula, Mississippi on 14th of February 1994. She was the 17th ship of her class, built with advanced Aegis combat systems, radar-absorbing angles, and a steel hull reinforced to survive modern warfare. At 505 feet, 154 meters long, and displacing about 8,900 tons, she carried a crew of roughly 300 men and women. Her twin gas turbine engines could drive her at over 30 knots. Cole's heart was the Aegis weapon system, a network of radars and computers capable of tracking and destroying multiple threats simultaneously. Her vertical launch system could fire Tomahawk cruise missiles for land attack or Standard missiles for air defense. She also mounted torpedoes and a 5-inch gun for close engagements. Commissioned on 8 June 1996, USS Cole represented the pinnacle of late 20th century naval engineering. Small enough to maneuver in shallow waters, powerful enough to fight alone. Following her commissioning, Cole joined the Atlantic Fleet, homeported in Norfolk, Virginia. Her early deployments were routine but vital. Training exercises, NATO operations, and patrols in the Mediterranean. In 1998, she participated in Operation Southern Watch, enforcing no-fly zones over Iraq after the Gulf War.
Welcome home, sailors.
Her missions were part of a global strategy. The United States projected stability, deterred aggression, and maintained presence. By 2000, USS Cole was a veteran ship, her crew well-trained and confident. Her next deployment would take her east once more to the Arabian Sea and the choke points through which the world's oil flowed. In October 2000, USS Cole was en route to the Persian Gulf to relieve another destroyer. On the 12th of October, she entered the port of Aden, Yemen for a brief refueling stop, a routine operation lasting only a few hours. The mood was relaxed, the weather was warm, the harbor calm. Small boats moved about, common in any busy port. Few aboard could have imagined danger. At 11:18 a.m., a small fiberglass boat approached the ship's port side. 2 men stood inside, waving as if in greeting. Moments later, the world erupted. The blast ripped through the port side of Cole, just below the galley where sailors were eating lunch. A gaping hole opened in the hull. Compartments flooded instantly. The shockwave reverberated through steel and flesh alike. 17 sailors were killed. Dozens more were injured, trapped, or thrown against bulkheads. Power failed. Smoke filled the passageways. Fire and flooding threatened to sink the ship within minutes. But amid the chaos, discipline held. Damage control teams sealed bulkheads, fought fires, and kept Cole afloat. Medics tended to the wounded, sometimes in total darkness. By nightfall, the immediate danger had passed. The ship lived, but barely. Outside, the port of Aden fell silent. The smell of fuel and smoke hung over the harbor. Rescue crews from other U.S. vessels and local authorities arrived to assist, stunned by the scale of destruction caused by such a small craft. The attack was soon claimed by an emerging terrorist network few Americans had yet heard of, Al-Qaeda. Intelligence later revealed that the assault had been planned months earlier, tested through smaller attempts in the region. The small boat had carried 300 to 400 pounds of explosives detonated directly against Cole's hull. The investigation involved the FBI, NCIS, and multiple international agencies. Divers examined the damage. Forensic teams identified the victims. For weeks, sailors lived aboard the crippled destroyer, patching leaks and recovering their shipmates' remains. By late October, Cole was lifted onto a Norwegian heavy-lift vessel, the MV Blue Marlin, for transport home. The voyage back across the Atlantic was slow and solemn, a wounded ship carried like a patient across the sea. She arrived in Pascagoula on 13th of December 2000, greeted by silence, flags at half-mast, and families waiting with tears and pride. Despite the devastation, the Navy decided Cole would not be retired. To scrap her would have meant surrendering to fear. Instead, she would be rebuilt, stronger, newer, and ready to sail again. Over 14 months, shipyard workers restored her hull, replaced wiring and piping, and modernized her combat systems. Every dent and scorch mark was removed, but the memory of what happened remained etched into her steel and spirit. In April 2002, USS Cole returned to sea. Her first post-repair voyage was both symbolic and emotional. As she departed Pascagoula, sailors lined the rails, saluting the families of the fallen. They had turned tragedy into endurance. The attack on Cole was a warning the world failed to heed. 11 months later, the September 11 attacks would echo its methods and its origin. The same network that struck in Aden would strike again on American soil, changing the course of history. Within the Navy, Cole's lessons reshaped policy. Security protocols for foreign port visits were overhauled. Rules of engagement, intelligence sharing, and threat assessment all evolved. No longer could a warship assume safety in peacetime harbors. For her crew and their families, the attack became a lifelong memory, a reminder of how quickly ordinary moments can turn to catastrophe. Today, USS Cole continues to serve. She stands as both warship and memorial, a living monument to those who died in her defense. Each year on October 12th, ceremonies are held aboard the ship and in Norfolk. 17 names are read aloud, 17 bells are tolled. Her motto, "Glory is the reward of valor," has taken on deeper meaning. It is inscribed on plaques, remembered in speeches, and carried in the hearts of every sailor who walks her decks. In museums and naval academies, the story of Cole is studied not only as a tragedy, but as a testament to courage, professionalism, and resilience. For the United States Navy, She represents a turning point, the moment when the nature of war itself changed. More than 2 decades have passed since that morning in Aden. The seas have carried Cole to new missions and calmer waters, but the scars of that day remain. She was built for missile duels and fleet battles, yet her greatest test came at anchor from an unseen enemy. Her survival proved the strength not only of steel and engineering, but of human will. In the quiet hours of night, when her watchstanders look out across the dark horizon, they serve not only as sailors, but as guardians of memory. The USS Cole is more than a destroyer. She is a story of sacrifice, endurance, and the price of vigilance in a world where peace can shatter in an instant. The sea remembers. And somewhere in the gentle rocking of her hull, one can still hear the echo of those 17 voices carried forever on the tide.